Right now, something is happening in our solar system that's sending scientists scrambling for explanations. The interstellar object NASA's been tracking, 3I Atlas, is roughly the size of Manhattan and has been displaying several unusual movements and features which kind of defy typical behavior of comets. It's even catching the attention of some military analysts. So what does this mean for all of us here on Earth? And what can this mysterious object tell us about what's outside our own solar system? Let's ask physics professor at the City College of New York, and he's a New York Times best-selling author of Quantum Supremacy, Michio Kaku. So this mystery object has been added to the International Asteroid Warning Network. That's the first interstellar object ever to make that list. So I got to ask you, what the heck is 3I Atlas, and why the clouds of mystery around it? NASA's like tight-lipped.
Well, there's a split in the astronomical community. The majority faction says, what's all the fuss about? I mean, it's just a rock from outer space, and it's going to come through our solar system for the first time and then come whizzing back out again. It's the third known object from outside our solar system, so what's the fuss? Another faction, however, says, now, wait a minute. Perhaps this is a visitor, an intelligent visitor from another solar system, and perhaps this week we could have a test of it. That's right. This week, it turns out that the asteroid or comet will be whizzing around our sun, and if it picks up extra energy on its flyby, that would clinch it. That means there's extraterrestrial intelligence involved. So watch for it. On October 30th, starting then, we're going to track it to see whether it gets an extra boost of energy. If so, it means we are being visited.
Oh, so, okay, if it's not a giant rock, and it could be a sign of life out there, something's got to be steering it, right?
That's right. And as it goes around the sun, there's something called the Oberth Effect. The Oberth Effect says that if you were to whip around the sun, you would pick up extra energy in the process. So we're going to watch for it. The energy in must equal the energy out, according to the ordinary theory. But if that's not true, if there's more energy going out than in, it means that there's energy boost coming from whipping around the sun, and that requires intelligence. And so that's one acid test that we can make. Watch for it. Starting this week, we're going to begin to monitor and see whether or not it picks up extra energy as it whips around the sun.
So it's Wednesday, right? October 29th, I think it goes the closest point to the sun. Is that right?
That's right. That's the perihelion.
Okay.
And at that point, if it picks up extra energy, that's outside the ordinary bounds of the conservation of energy. So watch for it. As it whips around the sun, if it picks up extra energy, bingo. It means there's intelligent life that is guiding the motion of this object.
This is interesting. I love this stuff. So NASA is launching its Artemis 2 program in 2026, I think, sending crewed missions around the moon and then landing on the lunar surface. Let me ask you, Professor, when do you think that we might see some permanent bases on the moon? Should we? Do we know everything about the moon already or not? Certainly the dark side is different. And what about Mars? You think we'll ever set foot on Mars?
Well, that's a wish list of what we have for NASA. However, it's going to take time. For example, we've been talking about going to the moon for decades, and finally, it's going to come to pass. Within the next few years, we're going to launch not just a manned probe around the moon, we're going to land on the moon's surface itself. And so this is all on the agenda for NASA in the coming years. And then after that, the next target is going to be Mars. But we'll wait and see. We've had so many setbacks, so many disappointments, but now we think we have the momentum to go on to a flyby around the moon, land on the moon, and then on to Mars.
So if I were one of your students, I would go, ooh, 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 like, Arnold Horshack, and ask you, do you think that there is life in the galaxy somewhere? That this could be, what do you think it is? What do you think this thing is?
Well, I'll put my money on the bet that there is intelligent life throughout the galaxy. Not only that, but I think there's intelligent life in our neighborhood, the neighborhood of the Milky Way galaxy. And so I think that don't necessarily bet the house on it, but I would say that yes, there's intelligent life out there. The big question is, can they visit us? That's the big question, because just to go to the nearest star would take 70,000 years with a conventional rocket. That's how long it would take just to go to Alpha Centauri. So we need something like warp drive. Now that, of course, is on the wish list of every science fiction writer, but that's what's required if we're going to meet intelligent life throughout the galaxy. Warp drive.
Speaking of Alpha Centauri, maybe it's the Robinson family finally getting back on the Jupiter too. I don't know. We'll find out. Professor, thank you for being interesting, because this stuff can get really in the weeds, but good stuff. Thank you.
My pleasure. Anytime.
When a physicist like Dr. Michio Kaku says an object could change everything we know, you pay attention, because in the cold silence of space, something is moving, something that doesn't behave like anything we've seen before. It's called 3I Atlas, and it might not be just a rock drifting through the cosmic void. NASA has been tracking it for months, monitoring its trajectory with intense scrutiny. An interstellar object, roughly the size of Manhattan, cutting through our solar system on a hyperbolic path, meaning it came from outside our cosmic neighborhood, and it will never return to wherever it originated. But the strange part isn't where it came from or how far it traveled through the darkness of space. It's what it's doing right now, in this very moment, as it approaches our sun. It's rotating in ways that comets simply shouldn't rotate. It's reflecting light inconsistently, displaying properties that defy our understanding of natural celestial bodies, and possibly, according to some of the most rigorous observers in the scientific community, it's accelerating in ways that conventional physics cannot easily explain. Dr. Kaku explains the profound split that has emerged within the scientific community regarding 3I Atlas. Some prominent voices say it's just a rock, another interstellar wanderer passing through our solar system like 1I Oumuamua and 2I Borisov before it, objects that arrived and departed without incident or particular mystery. But others, the ones willing to look deeper into the data, willing to question their own assumptions, suspect something fundamentally different. They suspect we're observing a visitor, an intelligent probe, something that knows exactly what it's doing, something that operates with purpose and intention rather than random cosmic drift. This distinction matters profoundly because it transforms our understanding of what we're actually observing. We're no longer simply watching a natural phenomenon. We're potentially witnessing evidence of technology, of engineering, of deliberate action by an intelligence operating on a scale we're only beginning to comprehend. And this week, as 3I Atlas whips around the sun in its closest approach to our star, scientists worldwide are watching for one crucial clue that could transform everything. They're watching for an energy boost, an acceleration that shouldn't be possible according to conventional physics. It's called the Oberth Effect, a principle in orbital mechanics that describes how a spacecraft can gain extra energy if it fires its engines at the closest point to the sun, using the star's gravity well to amplify the thrust and achieve greater velocity. But here's where this becomes extraordinary. If 3I Atlas gains more energy than the laws of physics allow, if it demonstrates an energy boost that exceeds what natural gravitational effects could produce, it means something or someone is pushing it. It means there's active propulsion, active control, active intelligence guiding this object through space. That would change everything we know about who's out there in the cosmos and who might be watching us from the depths of interstellar space. Even military analysts are watching 3I Atlas with intense interest and growing concern, because if an object that large, roughly the size of Manhattan, can maneuver near the sun with precision and control, it's not just a comet or a random asteroid. It's a controlled vehicle, it's a spacecraft, it's technology. And that realization raises a completely new set of questions that keep scientists and defense strategists awake at night. If it's not from here, if it didn't originate in our solar system, why is it here now? What brought it to our neighborhood? Is it observing us, gathering data about our civilization, our technology, our potential as a species? Is it testing our technology, probing our defenses, assessing our capabilities? Or is it simply passing through, unaware that the tiny blue planet called Earth is staring right back, that we've noticed it, that we're tracking it, that we're asking questions about its purpose and origin? Dr. Kaku has spent decades contemplating these profound questions, and he believes the galaxy is full of intelligent life. Not light years away in some distant corner of the universe, but in our own neighborhood, relatively speaking. He says with characteristic thoughtfulness and scientific caution, "Don't bet your house on it, but yes, it's likely we're not alone." The challenge, he explains, is distance. The vast incomprehensible distances that separate civilizations across the galaxy. To reach the nearest star, Alpha Centauri, would take 70,000 years with our current rocket technology. That's longer than human civilization has existed. That's a time span so vast it defies human intuition and imagination. So if someone or something can send 3I Atlas across interstellar space, if they can propel an object of that size across the vast distances between stars, they're operating on a level of physics we can barely imagine, a level beyond conventional rockets, beyond ion drives, beyond even our most advanced science fiction. We're talking about warp drive physics. We're talking about technology that bends space itself, that manipulates the fabric of reality in ways we've only theorized about in our most speculative physics. The implications of such technology are staggering. If a civilization can master warp drive physics, if they can bend space-time to their purposes, then distance becomes meaningless. The vast gulfs between stars become traversable. The universe becomes accessible. And suddenly the idea that an object like 3I Atlas could arrive at our solar system becomes not just possible, but inevitable. It becomes a natural consequence of a civilization that has mastered the fundamental forces of physics itself. So maybe 3I Atlas isn't just a rock, just another piece of cosmic debris. Maybe it's a message, a reminder, a signal that we are part of something vast, ancient and intelligent. Maybe civilizations rise and fall across galaxies, experiencing their own golden ages and dark ages, their own periods of expansion and contraction. And maybe one of them, long ago in the distant past, sent out a silent probe, a robotic explorer programmed with a mission that would take millennia to complete, still gliding through the darkness of space, still doing what it was programmed to do: observe, watch, gather data, report back to its creators across the vast distances of interstellar space. We don't know what 3I Atlas truly is. We don't have certainty. We have observations, anomalies, questions, and possibilities. But as Dr. Michio Kaku said, if 3I Atlas gains that mysterious burst of energy as it swings around the sun, if it demonstrates the Oberth Effect in ways that exceed natural physics, then the universe just spoke to us. The cosmos just sent us a message, and for the first time in human history, we might finally have to answer. We might finally have to acknowledge that we're not alone, that intelligence exists elsewhere, that we're part of a larger community of conscious beings spread across the galaxy. Because sometimes what we call a rock, what we dismiss as just another interstellar object, might actually be a visitor, a probe, a messenger from another world, another civilization, another branch of intelligence in this vast and mysterious universe. Life Doubts has been following this story closely, tracking the developments as they unfold, examining the evidence with rigorous scrutiny, and asking the questions that mainstream media refuses to ask. Because this is where science meets wonder, where the boundaries between what we know and what we're afraid to imagine begin to blur. The channel has become a gathering place for those who refuse to accept easy answers, who demand deeper investigation, who believe that the truth, whatever it may be, is worth pursuing relentlessly. And the truth about 3I Atlas might be the most significant truth humanity has ever encountered. Consider what we know about interstellar objects. Before 3I Atlas, we had Oumuamua, discovered in 2017, an object that defied easy categorization. It was elongated, it was rotating strangely, it exhibited acceleration that couldn't be explained by solar radiation pressure alone. Scientists debated its nature for years. Was it a comet, an asteroid, something else entirely? The scientific community largely settled on natural explanations, but questions remained. Then came Borisov in 2019, another interstellar visitor with its own set of anomalies. And now 3I Atlas arrives with properties that seem to push the boundaries of what we consider natural even further. The pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. The universe is sending us visitors, objects that don't quite fit our models, that challenge our assumptions, that force us to expand our understanding of what's possible. The Oberth Effect that scientists are watching for represents a crucial test. If 3I Atlas demonstrates this effect, if it gains energy as it passes the Sun in ways that exceed natural gravitational effects, it would provide the smoking gun evidence that something is actively propelling this object. It would prove that intelligence is involved, that control is being exercised, that this isn't a passive cosmic wanderer, but an active, directed vehicle. The implications would be immediate and profound. Every space agency in the world would mobilize. Every telescope would be redirected toward 3I Atlas. Every physicist would scramble to understand what this means for our understanding of physics itself. Because if another civilization has mastered propulsion systems that can utilize the Oberth effect in ways we can barely comprehend, they've achieved a level of technological sophistication that makes our most advanced spacecraft look like primitive toys. Think about what this would mean for humanity. We've always assumed that we're alone, that we're the only intelligent species in this corner of the galaxy at least. It's a comforting assumption in some ways, because it means we don't have to worry about competition, about threats from more advanced civilizations, about our place in a cosmic hierarchy. But it's also a lonely assumption, an isolating assumption. If 3I Atlas proves that we're not alone, if it demonstrates that intelligence exists elsewhere and has the capability to send probes across interstellar distances, then everything changes. Our philosophy changes, our religion changes, our politics changes, our understanding of our own significance in the universe changes. We would have to rewrite our textbooks, our histories, our entire conception of what it means to be human in a universe that contains other intelligent beings. Dr. Kaku has spoken extensively about the different types of civilizations that might exist in the universe, using the Kardashev scale as a framework. A Type 1 civilization would have the ability to harness all the energy of their home planet. A Type 2 civilization would harness the energy of their entire star system. A Type 3 civilization would control the energy of an entire galaxy. If 3I Atlas comes from a civilization capable of sending probes across interstellar space, they're at least a Type 2 civilization, possibly higher. They would have capabilities that seem like magic to us, that would appear to violate the laws of physics as we understand them. They could manipulate gravity. They could bend space-time. They could achieve velocities that we consider impossible. They would be gods, essentially, from our perspective. And if such beings exist, if they have the capability to send probes to our solar system, then the question becomes not whether they're out there, but why they're here. What is their purpose? What do they want? Some theorists suggest that 3I Atlas might be a von Neumann probe, a self-replicating spacecraft that travels through space, explores star systems, and creates copies of itself to continue the mission. Such probes could theoretically explore the entire galaxy over millions of years, each probe spawning new probes, spreading through space like a vast network of explorers. If 3I Atlas is such a probe, then it's not just observing us. It's part of a vast exploration network that spans the galaxy. It's one of countless probes sent out by a civilization that understood the scale of the universe and developed the technology to explore it systematically. The implications are staggering. We wouldn't just be observed by one civilization, we would be observed by a vast network of probes, each one reporting back to its creators, each one part of a larger intelligence that spans light years. Other theorists suggest that 3I Atlas might be a message in itself, a deliberate communication from another civilization. Not a message in words or symbols that we would recognize, but a message in the form of the object itself. Its trajectory, its composition, its behavior, all of these could be intentional signals designed to communicate something to any intelligent species that might detect it. It could be a greeting. It could be a warning. It could be a test to see how we respond. The universe might be full of such messages, probes, and objects deliberately sent to make contact with other civilizations, to establish communication networks across the vast distances of space. And we, in our ignorance, have been dismissing them as rocks and comets, failing to recognize the signals that have been sent to us. The military implications of 3I Atlas cannot be ignored. If another civilization has the capability to send controlled objects through our solar system, they have the capability to send weapons. They have the capability to deliver payloads of any kind to any location they choose. They could destroy our cities, eliminate our civilization, or simply observe us without our knowledge or consent. This is why military analysts are watching 3I Atlas so carefully. This is why governments are concerned. This is why the tracking of this object has become a matter of national security for multiple countries. If 3I Atlas is what some suspect it to be, then humanity has entered a new era, an era where we must consider the possibility of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, an era where we must think about our defenses, our diplomacy, our place in a larger cosmic community. But there's another possibility, one that's perhaps more hopeful. Maybe 3I Atlas is a probe sent by a civilization that has evolved beyond warfare, beyond the need for weapons, beyond the desire to dominate or destroy. Maybe it's a probe sent by a peaceful civilization, one that explores the galaxy out of curiosity, out of a desire to understand, out of a commitment to knowledge and discovery. Maybe the message it carries is one of peace, of welcome, of an invitation to join a larger community of intelligent beings. Maybe the universe is full of such probes, sent by civilizations that have learned to coexist, that have developed systems of communication and cooperation that span the galaxy. And maybe 3I Atlas is here to invite us to join that community, to take our place among the intelligent species of the cosmos. We won't know for certain until we have more data, until we can observe 3I Atlas more closely, until we can analyze its behavior and composition with greater precision. But the fact that we're asking these questions, the fact that we're taking seriously the possibility that this object might be artificial, represents a significant shift in human consciousness. We're beginning to acknowledge that we might not be alone. We're beginning to accept that intelligence might exist elsewhere in the universe. We're beginning to prepare ourselves for the possibility of contact. And that preparation, that shift in perspective, might be the most important thing that 3I Atlas accomplishes, regardless of what it ultimately proves to be. Dr. Michio Kaku represents a growing number of scientists who are willing to ask the hard questions, who are willing to challenge the consensus, who are willing to follow the evidence wherever it leads. He's not claiming certainty. He's not saying that 3I Atlas is definitely an alien probe. But he's saying that the possibility exists, that it's worth investigating seriously, that we should be prepared for the answer if it turns out to be true. And that's a message that resonates with millions of people who have always suspected that we're not alone, who have always believed that the universe is too vast, too complex, too full of possibilities for us to be the only intelligent species in it. As 3I Atlas continues its journey through our solar system, as it approaches the Sun and then begins its departure back into interstellar space, the world watches. Scientists monitor its trajectory, telescopes track its position, data accumulates. And with each new observation, we come closer to understanding what this object truly is. We come closer to answering one of the most profound questions humanity has ever asked. Are we alone? The answer might be encoded in the behavior of 3I Atlas. The answer might be revealed in the energy boost it gains as it passes the Sun. The answer might be waiting for us in the data, in the numbers, in the patterns that emerge from careful observation and rigorous analysis. Because sometimes what we call a rock is just a rock, but sometimes what we call a rock is a visitor, a messenger, a probe from another world, a signal from another intelligence. And if that's what 3I Atlas is, if it's what some of the most brilliant minds in science suspect it might be, then we're living through a moment of profound historical significance. We're living through the moment when humanity finally has to acknowledge that we're not alone. We're living through the moment when the universe speaks to us and we have to decide how to respond. This is Life Doubts, where science meets wonder, where the boundaries between what we know and what we're afraid to imagine begin to blur, where we ask the questions that others refuse to ask, where we follow the evidence wherever it leads, and where we prepare ourselves for the possibility that the universe is far stranger, far more wonderful, and far more populated than we ever dared to imagine. The story of 3I Atlas is still being written. The truth is still unfolding. And we as a species are finally beginning to ask the right questions. The answers, when they come, will change everything. They will transform our understanding of our place in the cosmos. They will reshape our philosophy, our religion, our politics, our entire conception of what it means to be human in a universe that contains other intelligent beings. And that transformation, that shift in perspective, might be the most important thing that ever happens to our species. Because sometimes the greatest discoveries are not about what we find out there in space, they're about what we discover about ourselves.